7 different ways to change the audio volume in Logic Pro. While changing the volume of audio and software instruments in Logic Pro is a straightforward task, different methods are better suited to managing specific audio contexts. Some ways of altering the volume may even complicate your mixing process down the line, so make sure you're applying the right method to provide creative freedom rather than limitations. 1. Volume faders. In Logic Pro, you can find horizontal volume faders in the track header of each track, and vertical faders in the left and right channel strips found in the Inspector section, on the left. The horizontal faders in the track header are only visible if you are sufficiently zoomed in, CMD plus up/down arrow. However, it's a good idea to check your left Inspector channel strip, which should show the selected track, to read the exact dB level. The right Inspector channel strip will often show the stereo output channel with its corresponding fader. It's best to leave this fader untouched. Use it to monitor the overall dB level of your output in mix. If you've set up a send that routes a track to a bus/O track, click on the sends in the left channel strip, and you can then adjust its volume in the right Inspector channel strip. These faders represent the go-to method to quickly and precisely alter the level of all your audio elements. Another way you can do this in a streamlined manner is by pressing the 10th to show the mixing window. This enables you to view all your channel strips, so you can change their volume while writing their exact dB levels. Remember to monitor the levels of your tracks to avoid clipping. 2. Region Inspector. The Region Inspector can be used in Logic Pro to change the gain of audio regions. This makes it a great tool for adjusting the level of individual/selected audio regions rather than a universal volume change to a given audio track. To do so, press the arrow next to Region in the Inspector window, and double-click on the field next to Gain in the drop-down menu. Then, input your desired positive/negative dB value. The level of media regions cannot be altered in the same way via the Region Inspector. One workaround is to convert your media regions into audio regions via bouncing, Ctrl+B. Another method is to go into the piano roll editor and change the velocity of your MIDI notes. 3. MIDI velocity values. Software instruments determine how loud or soft they play a MIDI note via its velocity value. This often determines the articulation of a MIDI note. Double-click on a MIDI region in Logic Pro to open up the piano roll editor, P. You can then select single/multiple MIDI notes and alter their velocity using the velocity slider in the bottom left. 4. Track and region volume automation. To get started, press A to enable automation mode, and make sure volume is selected in the track header, next to the dB level. Track automation is enabled by default, which allows you to automate changes to the entire track. Alternatively, you can press the blue track button to switch it to region. This means any automation changes you make are confined to that region. Your volume fader will lock onto any track automation changes you make. Any manual volume fader edit post-track automation will not take effect. Region automation can be beneficial as it restricts this lock-on effect to specific regions and not the entire track. One way to alter the volume of a track even after track automation is set as to hover over the dB value box where trim should appear. Then drag up or down to apply a universal volume change to all automated levels and tweaks. 5. Gain plugins. An alternative to complete reliance on volume faders and volume automation is the use of Logic's stock gain plugin or other gain tools. Just like faders, you can increase or reduce the dB of a given track via the gain dial in such plugins. The reason for doing so is to avoid the limitations that occur when you apply volume automation on a track. Automate the gain of your gain plugin instead of your track's volume. This will allow you to continue to edit with your volume faders freely throughout your mixing process. 6. Inbuilt plugin output controls. Many plugins have an output slider that will impact the level of the track they are working on. Generally, EQs and compressors are plugins you will want to use this feature on. The reason is that, in most cases, you find a good level for your track before the use of such plugins. In other words, EQs and compressors aren't used as a tool to get the volume level you're after. They refine and tighten up your sound. As a result, you want to get the same volume level on a track pre- and post-compression and equalization. If your EQ cuts reduce the level of your track by 2 dB, push up the output/gain option by 2 dB. If your compressor applies 3 dB of gain reduction, push up the makeup gain/output control by 3 dB. 7. Master volume slider. Similar to the stereo output, there often isn't much reason to increase the master volume slider, found in the top right above the workspace area or far right in the mixing window. Doing so can impact the overall sonic quality of your work. However, you may want to max the volume of the master slider and stereo output if your laptop or device has a problem with its audio output, and you happen to be without headphones or speakers. Conversely, you may need to drop the volume rapidly to avoid clipping and screeching feedback issues. Just remember to reset, click the sliders of the end, as such changes can ruin a mix and master the balance of levels in Logic Pro. Changing the volume in Logic Pro is simple. Mastering the different methods takes time. Use the volume faders in the track headers, inspector channel strips, and mixing windows to monitor and make quick changes to the dB levels. Go for the region inspector to edit the level of individual audio regions, and the piano roll editor to change the velocity of MIDI notes. Use gain plugins to get around the limitations of track volume automation, and plug-in output controls to balance levels pre- and post-effects. Add in the master volume slider for emergencies, and you have a volume tool for every situation in Logic Pro.